Hello everyone, welcome to another video. In this video, we are going to solve again accounting multiple choice paper. Let me turn on my annotations first. So you'll be looking at paper 1, which is about multiple choice questions. You have 35 questions in this paper and you have about 1 hour 15 minutes to answer this. We will be looking at May-June 2023, paper 1, and the variant is 2. So let's get started with our questions. Let me clear out the drawings. So let's move on to our first question. Okay, so question 1 is asking us, what is the main function of bookkeeping? So bookkeeping, of course, if you read through all of the options, you would be like, all of the options are correct. But you have to look at the very specific that caters to this question. What is the specific function of bookkeeping? It's about recording information. So the correct answer to multiple choice 1 is option C. Bookkeeping is mainly done to keep record of information, what has happened in the past, because it is about accounting is mostly about accounting for the past business transactions. It's not necessary that it's going to be business transaction, but since we are talking about business, it's going to be business transaction. So bookkeeping is nothing but actually just recording business transactions. Okay, so let's move to our next question, which is question 2. Sorry. Question 2 is which components of a statement of financial position do descriptions 1, 2, and 3 relate to? So finance, so statement 1 is about finance and other resources that have been provided by the owner. So that's equity or capital. Money owned, that's liability because it's owned. Money owned, so this is money owed and this is money owned. So money owed is a liability because the business has to pay someone else, and property owned or business or money owned or amounts owed by customers, because this is your accounts receivable. This actually means accounts receivable, which is shown in the asset section, right? So that's going to be assets. So the correct answer to multiple choice 2 would be option 2. Statement 1 is about capital. Statement 1 is about capital. Statement 2 is about liabilities, and statement 3 is about assets. Let's move on to multiple choice 3. Multiple choice 3 is a check received from Kate, a credit customer. So Kate is a credit customer, meaning that it's an accounts receivable. Actually, the Kate is supposed to pay the business from whichever she has bought the goods or services, right? So a credit customer here means that she is again an accounts receivable. I'm sorry for my handwriting, but it is what it is. So this check was dishonored. How was the dishonored check recorded by the business actually? So that's what the question is asking. And the correct answer to multiple choice 3 would be option B. So the business would have to record the accounts receivable again. So it would debit Kate because accounts receivable is going to go up. And because the business did not receive that money, it would be credit bank, because the asset is, so this asset is going up, and then the business did not receive cash because this is another asset, and whenever asset goes down, you credit. So the general rule, as you must know by this point in time, whenever asset goes up, it's a debit. Whenever asset goes down, it's a credit. Let's move on to multiple choice 4. What does the sales ledger of a business contain? So it's specifically talking about sales ledger, which records basically accounts receivable and sales information of the business. So the answer to this question for multiple choice 4 would be option B. The information that it contains for business is accounts of trade receivables. It tells you how much credit sales have been there. Let's move on to multiple choice 5. So multiple choice 5, which option is an example of a double entry bookkeeping? So basically it's talking about debits and credits, making a journal entry to record the correction. So this is about correction, so not really. So option A is not the correct answer. Making entries in the sales journal and sales ledger. So these are two different items that we are talking about. So again, this is not going to be the correct answer for multiple choice 5, recording a check paid to a trade payable in the cash book and purchases ledger, right? So this is going to have a double entry. This is a check paid to the trade payable and purchases ledger, right? So generally the entry would be debit accounts payable and then credit because check is paid. It would be bank. The money has flown out. So the correct answer to multiple choice 5 would be option C. Uh, Let's look at multiple choice 6. What is true about cash discounts received? So business is receiving these cash discounts. They would, of course, be recorded in the cash book and they will increase the profit as well. So the correct answer to multiple choice 6 would be option A. This is, I will remind you again, this is discount received. That's why the profit is going to increase because the business has bought something at a cheaper price. That's what it means. So whenever you buy something at a discount, that is also part of your income. So when you go shop, for example, when you go and shop, uh, uh, when there are promotions or sales happening, sales around discounts around stores. So let's say you bought your clothes at a discounted price, the discount is actually your income as well because you saved that money, right? So the correct answer to multiple choice 6 would be option A. Let's move on to multiple choice 7. So multiple choice 7, Tahir prepared a trial balance. He entered both the balance on the discount allowed account 900 and bank overdraft in the wrong column. So that means that 750 went to debit when it should have been credit, and 900 went to credit. 900 went to credit when it should be debit because this is discount allowed. This should be expense. This should be on the debit side. And then bank overdraft, it's a liability, and which is why it should be on the credit side. But he switched the columns, right? So debit went to credit and credit went to debit. So what the question is asking here is which total of the trial balance was higher and what was the amount of the difference between the total debit and total credit. So a higher amount went to the credit side, so it would be credit. So it's either A or B. Option C and D won't be applicable in this case. Now the amount, so the error is for 150, and it would be multiplied by 2, so it would be twice the error, 1650. I don't know how you would get that number actually because that's too high. Even if you cannot calculate 300, you should not pick option B because how would you calculate 1650? Ask yourself, how would you calculate 1650 in this case? By adding 900 and 750? I don't think that's correct because you would have to look at the difference. So the correct answer to multiple choice 7 would be option A. The credit column would be higher with the difference of $300. Let's move to multiple choice 8. Multiple choice 8, goods sold on credit to J Sharp were debited in error to the account of T Sharp. So the names are very similar, spellings are very similar. That's why there has been an error, and this type of an error is called a commission error. Um, and by now I hopefully know that I do not need to explain all these type of errors. You should have been well versed in different types of errors by now. If not, then you can always ask ChatGPT to summarize these errors for you. That's a great tool these days, or you can read your text notes as well. But the correct answer to multiple choice option 8 would be option A. It's just that the amount have been entered into incorrect accounts, and that's why it's an error of commission. Um, let's move on to multiple choice 9. This is again about trial balance. So Khalid made entries in a suspense account to correct 2 errors found in his ledger accounts. Once the errors were corrected, the suspense account was closed. Error 1 was 700 sales had been omitted from the sales account. The purchases, and then we move on to error 2. Error 2 is the purchases journal had been overcast by 550. Which entry was made in the suspense account to balance the trial balance? Uh, so sales account, so sales have been omitted, right? So this would go on the credit side, and the purchase journal had been overcast by 550. So you have to reduce that. Purchases journal had been overcast by 550 as well. So which entry has been? So it would be so these two numbers. You will add these two numbers on the credit side. And then that's how you will close out the trial balance as well. So the correct answer to multiple choice 9 would be option B. 700 plus 550 gives me 1250. So on the credit side, this will also go on the credit side. Let's move on to multiple choice 10. Maya depreciates her motor vehicle at 25% per annum using straight line method. The motor vehicle cost is $15,000. The depreciation for current financial year was incorrectly calculated at 15% per annum. How will correcting the error affect the profit, right? So it should be 25%, but it has been recorded at 15%. So the profit must go down. It can't be option C and option D because it talks about increase. It's not going to be increase. It's going to be a decrease. Now, all you need to do is calculate the number. So 15,000 at 15% would give you something. 15,000 at 25% would give you something. You calculate this x1, you calculate this x2, x2 minus x1 because x2 should be higher than your x1, and then you would get x3. This difference would be your answer. I have done the math here, but you can also do the math. The correct answer to multiple choice 10 would be option A. The profit is going to decrease by 1,500. So you can calculate the numbers yourself, but the correct answer to multiple choice 10 is option A. Let's move on to multiple choice 11. Multiple choice 11. Wasim received the bank statement. He found that the bank had charged interest twice in error and that a dividend had been received on an investment. Wasim then updated cash book and prepared bank reconciliation statement. Where did he record these two items, right? So dividend has been received, which he found out from the bank statement itself. So of course, that would be updated on cash books. So it's either option C or option D. It can't be option. It can't be. Okay, no, sorry, this is bank error. So dividend received, right? So dividend received, it can't be option A and can't be option C. It has to be updated on. So it's either B and D. So let me erase this. Let me erase this because he found about the bank, the dividend received from the bank statement, right? So he would update the cash book for that. Now, twice in error. So for this one, bank reconciliation, for the interest the interest was charged twice, so you need to update the bank reconciliation statement. So the correct answer for multiple choice 11 actually would be option B. The bank error would be updated on the bank reconciliation statement and dividend would be updated on the cash book. So the correct answer to multiple choice 11 would be option B. Let's move on to multiple choice 12. Multiple choice 12 is Thembi is preparing her sales ledger control account. She needs to know the total for goods which have been returned by credit customers, the amount owed by credit customers which have been written off as irrecoverable, where she can obtain this information. So total for goods which have been returned by credit customers, right? So it has to be sales return journal because she wants the total, not account. Account is going to be very specific. It's going to be sales journal. So actually, if I just know this one correctly, the correct answer to multiple choice 12 would be option D, and irrecoverable debts. She can get the information from general journal, right? So moving on to multiple choice 13. Let's do 13 and 14 together. So let's look at 13 first. On 1st August, the sales ledger control account had a debit balance of 1,800. During August, a debt of 200 was written off as irrecoverable and 10,000 was received from credit customers. On 31st August, the credit customers owed 3,000. What was the total credit sales in August? So we need to calculate the total credit sales in August. The correct answer to this multiple choice 13 would be option C, 11,400. The way you would calculate 11,400 is would be as follows. So we will take $10,000. We will take $10,000 which have been received, right? So this was actually credit sales, but this has been received. Then 3,000 is owned, right? So that's 13,000 minus 1800, which was minus 1800 minus 13,000 is the minus 1800, which was prior opening balance, prior credit sales, right? So this must have been 1800 must have been received within this $10,000, assuming that that has been received. We can't tell, but that has been received. So that gives me 11,200, and I also need to add this 200. I understand this 200 is not is my bad debt, but initially it was a credit sale, right? It must have been credit sale. That's why it was not received. So that will give me 11,400. So the correct answer to multiple choice 13 is option C. Now for multiple choice 14, let's move on to 14. A wholesaler had the following transactions: sold goods $30,000 on credit, received check $12,000 from sale of old fixtures at book value. How would these amounts be classified? So 30,000 on credit would be a revenue receipt, and capital receipt would be 12,000. So the correct answer to multiple choice 14 is again option C. So the answer to 13 and 14 both is option C. Let's move on to multiple choice 15. So 15 is a trader debited the cost of repairing office equipment to the office equipment account. So this should be revenue expenditure, but it went to the capital expenditure. So the error of this effect would be profit for the year would be overstated, and non-current assets would also be overstated. So the correct answer to multiple choice 15 would be option C. Let's move on to multiple choice 16. So multiple choice 16 is a business bought two assets X and Y on 1st January 2022 for $2,000 each. It depreciates asset X by 10% per annum using straight line method, and then asset Y by 10% per annum using reducing balance method. Which statements are correct? Asset X will be fully depreciated before asset Y. That statement is actually going to be let's look at this logically. So $2,000, so that would be $200 under straight line method each year. But for reducing balance method, this is year one, and then in year two it would be 2,000 minus 200, which gives me 1,800, and then times 10% for year two it would give me. So this is under wait a minute. Let me remove this one and then come back to this. So this part here is separate. This is under reducing balance method, and this is under a straight line method, right? So of course, now if you understand this, the depreciation under reducing balance method each year would be reducing compared to straight line method. The depreciation under straight line method will remain same, $200 each year. So which means that the asset X will actually depreciate faster, will depreciate faster than asset Y. So for sure, this is correct. It's either option C or option D. Option A and B are not applicable. What is the statement here? In 2022, the depreciation charge is lower for asset X than for asset Y. So in 2022, the depreciation is actually going to be same, $200, because the rate of depreciation is same. So the correct answer to multiple choice 16 would be option C. Asset X will depreciate faster or before than asset Y. And in 2022, the depreciation expense for 2022 is same. So that's why this statement is correct. It's 200 equals 200. Right, so let's move on to multiple choice 17. Multiple choice 17, Ravi's financial year ends on 30th April. Ravi bought a motor vehicle for $8,000 on 1st May 2020 and sold it for 4,050 on 1st May 2022. So we would have depreciation for 2021 and 2022 for 2 years. He uses the reducing balance method, which has a rate of 20%. What would be recorded in the income statement for the year ended 30th April 2023 for disposal or motor vehicle, right? So first you would have to calculate the net book value and then compare it with the cash proceeds, right? So to calculate net book value, I would have to calculate depreciation first. So first year would be my depreciation for first year is 1,600. Next year, it would be 8,000 minus 1,600 times 20%, and that would give me, let me calculate that now for you. So that would give me 8,000 minus 1,800, minus 1,800, 6,200, 6,200 times 0.2%. That gives me depreciation expense of 1,240. My total depreciation would then be 1,600 plus 1,240. That is 2,880. Now to calculate net book value, it would be the cost of asset minus the accumulated depreciation. And then this gives me net book value of 5,120, whereas my cash proceeds is 4,050. Now this would give me a loss of 1070, which is 1,070. So the correct answer to multiple choice 17 would be option C. Okay, moving on to multiple choice 18. So multiple choice 18, on 2nd January, Razia wrote off 450 owed to her by Anate, a credit customer, as irrecoverable. So this was an account receivable for Razia. Razia did not receive any money from Anate on 2nd January, and then she decided to write it off. But on 2nd October, Anate paid $100 by check in part settlement of that date. So out of 450, $100 was received out of 450. So what would be the entry that Razia would make? Of course, bank account would be debited. So it's either option A or option B. It's not option C or D. But some debts has been recovered. So the correct answer to multiple choice 18 would be option A in this case. Okay, let's move on to multiple choice 19. 19 and 20, we will do it together in one screen. Asha provided the following information about her inventory at the end of the financial year. So she has two product P and J. We need to find out total inventory value for Asha. So now you have to remember, in this case, we apply a lower of cost or net realizable value principle here. So we have to compare the cost and selling price. So for P, we will use 200 times 2 because the selling price is lower. We have to use this. But for J, we will use cost because cost is lower. So 300 times 3. So this would be 600 plus 900. So 6 plus 900 gives me 1,300. Oh no, so this is 400. Sorry, not 600. So 200 times 2 is 400. 400 plus 900 gives me 1,300. So the correct answer to multiple choice 19 is option A. Multiple choice 20, which group contains only service business? So we are talking about service business only services. So bookshop actually would have books, so this is not service. So option A is incorrect. Here, food store, again, it's not a service. Language school, taxi firm, jewelry repair, food store. Okay, the correct answer to multiple choice 20 would be option C, because only this is purely service-based businesses. Okay, let's move on to multiple choice 21. What does the statement of financial position of business show? Asset and liabilities at a certain date. The correct answer to multiple choice 21 is option A. You can read B, C, and D if you want, just to make sure that the correct answer is option A, because sometimes, examiners do trick you. But here, I mean, come on, this is a really easy question. So you should not even spend 10 seconds on this if you have studied very well. So the correct answer to multiple choice 21 would be option A. Let's move on to multiple choice 22. A trader pays her insurance premium on 1st January each year for the following 12 months. So it's testing you on prepaid expenses. Actually, she made the following payments for insurance. How much did the trader include for insurance in her income statement for the year ended 31st March 2003? So her year end is 31st March 2003, which means that her financial year is running from 1st April 2022 to 31st March 2023. Now you have to be very careful with these numbers in order to get the answer. It would be 1680 times
9 over 12, and then 1920 times 3 over 12. So first 3 months of 2023, and then the last 9 months of 2022. Right, so when you do the math in here, you should be able to get, you have to add these numbers. So let's call it x1, and then let's call this x2, and then let's call this x3. Your x3 should be 1740. The correct answer to multiple choice 22 is option B. Which item is added to the profit for the year in partnership appropriation account? And that is interest on drawings. Multiple choice 23 has the correct answer of option B. So option B, interest on drawings, is added to the profit for the year in partnership appropriation account. Let's clear this out. Let's move on to multiple choice 24. So multiple choice 24, Abby and Ernie are in partnership. Ernie is entitled to an annual partnership salary of $3,000. They share residual profits and losses equally. The profit for the year ended 31st August 2022 is $12,600. On 1st September 2021, the partners' current account balances were as follows. Abby has $2,500 in credit, and Ernie has $1,400 in debit. What was the credit balance on Ernie's current account on 1st September 2022? So Ernie's opening balance was $1,400 on the debit side. It's a current account. We will add salary on the credit side, and then 50% of the profit would be $6,300. It's coming from here. So 12,000 times 0.5 should give me 6,300. And then there's and then we should have a credit balance on this side. So this is 9,300. 9,300 minus 1,400 gives me 7,900. And that's not an answer here. Oh, well, the correct answer to multiple choice 24 as per the marking scheme seems to be option C, 6,400. And based on the question, I'm not able to get this answer here. So if anyone knows how to get the answer here, could comment down below. I will also look into this multiple choice 24, but it seems there may have been some typo in this question. It's also possible that CIE examiners can make this error, but I'm not able to get the answer to this question. So if anyone knows how to get this, can comment down below to let me know and others, other viewers of this video as well. So that would be very much appreciated. I will move on to multiple choice 25, because if you are doing an exam, you have to be practical. If you cannot solve a question, you move on to a different question, so that you do not miss out 1 point by just getting one answer incorrect. Getting one answer incorrect is okay. That's not a huge deal. Let's look at multiple choice 25. So multiple choice 25, what is meant by the term equity? Equity is total funds provided by the shareholders. The correct answer to multiple choice 25 is option D. Dividend paid to ordinary shareholders is not equity. It does not describe equity. Funds raised through borrowing is actually a loan. That's a liability, again, not an equity. Interest paid on debenture holders is just an expense item. So the correct answer to multiple choice 25 is nothing but only option D. It's the total funds provided by the shareholders. Let's move on to multiple choice 26. 26. During the financial year, AB Limited paid debenture interest of $1,400 relating to that financial year. At the year end, debenture interest $700 was accrued. How was the debenture interest shown in the financial statements for the year? It should not impact statement of changes in equity. So it's either option A or option B. It's not option C or D. Now 1,400 was 1,400 plus 700 would give me 2,100. The correct answer to multiple choice 26 is option B. We have to take into account the $700 which is accrued. We also need to take into account the $1,400 which was paid for to that financial year, right? So it would be $1,400 plus $700, $2,100 in income statement. Let's move on to multiple choice 27. So multiple choice 27. Which items are included in an income and expenditure account prepared for a sports club? Cost of no, not this is not going. This is going to be on some other statement, not on income and expenditure. So income and expenditure by itself is tells you about cash inflow and cash outflow, or money earned or money. So it's basically income statement for a normal business. A sports club is a non-government organization. It's an NGO, so that's why they call it income and expenditure account. But equivalently speaking, it's talking about income statement, right? So depreciation, of course, it's going to be there. That's an expense. Rates, this is going to be on balance sheet type of statement of financial position. Subscription uh, remain unpaid by, okay, so this would, because this is revenue item, so it would be 2 and 4. 2 and 4 is option C. So the correct answer to multiple choice 27 is option C. Let's go to multiple choice 28. Multiple choice 28 is talking about calculating profit. So you will take 1,500 plus 150, that's my revenue, total revenue, and then 450 plus 250 is my total expense. When you add these two numbers, and then this would be my profit, revenue minus expenses, my profit comes to at 950. So the correct answer to multiple choice 28 is option A. Multiple choice 29 is asking me to calculate what is the cost of raw material consumed. So I will start with opening inventory, which is 50 plus the current year's purchases, including the carriage inwards. So 50 plus 82 minus 60, and that should give me 72. All right, so the correct answer to multiple choice 29 is option B. Let's move on to multiple choice 30. Multiple choice 30. Ashwin started a business as a taxi driver on 1st January 2022. His taxi cost $5,000 and he paid $100 into his bank account, right? So total assets that he has during or at the start of the year is 5,100. 5,000, the taxi that he has, and the cash that he has in the bank account. So the total assets, or the total net assets, the total equity, whatever you call it, just call it correctly, but he has $5,100 in his pocket. Then he did not keep any accounting records. On 31st December 2022, he had $1,750 in business bank account. His taxi was valued at $4,000 and he owed $50 in garage for repairs. During the year, he took $1,600 out of the business bank account as drawings. What was the profit for the year? Now we need to calculate the profit. If you understand accounting equation very well, this question is very easy to do. So 5,100 is his net worth, right? At the very beginning of the year. At the end of the year, he has 1,750 in business bank account, plus his taxi is worth $4,000, and then he owes $50, $50 to someone, to the garage for repairs. Now this gives me if I calculate this number, let me calculate this number for you. So this number would be 17,750 plus 4,000 minus 50. This gives me 5,700. Right, this number is 5,700. 5,700. When I compare 5,700 at the year end minus 5,100 at the opening, this gives me upwards of $600. So that's money that he has earned. Plus, he took out $1,600 out of business bank account, right? So this money he must have earned it from his taxi business, right? So we need to add the 1,600 in here, and then this would give me total profit of 2,200, so or 2,200. So the correct answer to multiple choice 30 would be option B. right? So little complicated question, but hopefully you understand the idea and what the examiner is trying to test. It's testing. He or she is trying to test you on so-called accounting equation, which is asset equals to liabilities plus equity or share capital, right? Um, so the correct answer to multiple choice 30 would be option B, 2,200. That's total profit that Ashwin has earned from his taxi business. Let's move on to multiple choice 31. So multiple choice 31, a trader did not keep a complete set of accounts. He provided the following information. We have opening, closing, paid, cash discount received. What were the purchases for the year? So we will start with accounts payable, 5,000 in here, 9,800 is the closing balance. 35,000 was cash paid, and then 3,000 was discount that was earned. When I do the math in here, right? So 35,000 plus 3,000 plus 9,800 minus the 5,000, which gives me 42,800. The correct answer to multiple choice 31 is option D. That's the total purchases. 42,800. That's your answer. So the correct answer to multiple choice 31 would be option D. Okay, so let's look at multiple choice 32. What is T limited return on capital employed? So total capital employed would include these two numbers, and profit would be this. So it would be 29,200 divided by 192,000 plus the 20,000, and then when you do the math, it should give you 13.77%. The correct answer to multiple choice 32 would be option B. Let's look at multiple choice 33. Sablio's liquid asset test ratio was higher on 1st January 2022 than it was in December 2022. So that means it has improved. It means that this has asset test ratio has improved. What would have caused this? A decrease in trade receivables. So the correct answer to multiple choice 33 is option D, because the decrease in trade receivable means that more cash has been received by business, and that strengthens or increases the current asset of the business, right? Because the asset test ratio is nothing but current asset minus inventory over current liabilities, right? So the correct answer to multiple choice 33 would be option D. Let's look at multiple choice 34. So multiple choice 34, the following ratios relate to the business of Eva and Max. An accounting student made the following statement. So let's evaluate these statements together. Eva can meet her current liabilities from her current assets more easily than Max. Can she? If you look at it, no. Max is rather in a better position when we are evaluating statement one based on the above information, because for Max, the current ratio is 2.4, whereas Eva is 2.2. Statement two, Eva can meet her current liabilities more from her liquid assets, which is referring to the asset test ratio in here, more easily than Max. This is correct. This statement is correct, actually. So we are trying to find which statement is correct again, right? So statement two is definitely correct, because for Eva, the asset test ratio is 1.4, whereas for Max, it's 1.0, right? So Eva is definitely a clear winner in this case. Max has insufficient current assets to meet his current liabilities. So this statement is false. This statement is also false, because Max's current ratio is 2.4 compared to Eva. So Max clearly is a winner in current ratio. So statement three is false, right? So we are only left with statement four. Statement four must be correct. So Max has sufficient liquid assets to meet his current liabilities. Of course, it's 1-to-1. So he definitely has sufficient. He doesn't have more, or he's not in a better position, but he's at a break-even position, let's say. That's what the sufficient here means. So the correct answer to multiple choice 34 would be option D. Let's move on to multiple choice 35. Multiple choice 35 is a cafe owner made no entry in her accounts for increased competition when another cafe opened nearby. Which accounting principle was applied? Historical cost doesn't make sense in here, because it's about historical. It's about recording assets at the cost of at the purchase price. That's what historical cost means. Materiality is not applicable in this case. It's talking about increased competition. It's no way closer to materiality. It's not about prudence as well. It's about money measurement. This transaction does not need to be recorded. It's not even a transaction. It's just increased competition. It's a qualitative piece of information, not a quantitative piece of information. So the correct answer to multiple choice 35 would be option C. So this brings us to the end of this video, end of this paper. We have solved all 35 questions. I hope this video would be helpful to you. And if this was helpful to you, so please do not forget to give it a like, subscribe to my channel for more videos like this, share it with your friends who are preparing for O-levels accounting exam in whichever part of the world. I hope these videos would be helpful to you. And if you're stuck in certain concepts, I do have some basic financial accounting videos covering some basic accounting concepts on my channel. You can go and watch them as well. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope this was helpful. Thank you.